Hi everyone. I thought I should just show you a student submission last year. I'll quickly go through two submissions. The one submission received the 61% grade, which is this one, and the other one 70%. So yeah, also just note the title here in the template that I had in the that I've published on my SciCap previously. The title also said exploring a client's experience, but APA actually suggests you don't include words such as exploring. So I changed the title to just be client's experience of a client's experience of change. I'm confusing myself here. So it's a client's experience of change during a coaching journey. Yeah, so that's what the title page. Also changed the title there to be more reflective of assessment 1. In your template, it would be changed. It is changed. Okay. The table of contents here. The students wrote introduction. We, based on last week's discussion and my feedback to you since, I've changed that to be aligned with the current APA practice of putting the title of the assessment or research paper in that position. Okay. So yeah, don't use that for and, use and in text when you refer to authors in here. You would say Spencer and use that, and Grant 2007. So just you can pause here and just reflect on why I make this comment for this piece over here. And then small things like attention to detail. Don't use the acronym, the short for International Coaching Federation, ICF. Write out in full. Not everyone knows what ICF means. You and I do, but not everyone else, or many others don't. And then I'm asking, why is this relevant for the introduction? So you can consider why I might have asked that question. And then I make a comment here, this document is a research proposal. You must tell the reader, in this case, the most important readers will be the research and ethics committee members that will review your proposal to decide whether you can do the research or not. Okay. You are not researching the impact of coaching. You are exploring the experience of change of a coaching client during their coaching journey. You've already identified a client. You would have identified a client that have experienced change. You're now wanting to hear the client's narrative around their experience. Okay. And then also the paper can't do anything. When you say through this study, you just rather speak about we aim to explore changes experienced by a client during the coaching journey. Yeah, in this case, I couldn't quite get what the students wanted to say there. So you can pause and see how you might have phrased that differently. And then the research question is listed here, is written here. And then I refer the students in the literature review to the session 3 slides, where the literature review is supposed to be doing what is written here. I'm not going to read the whole lot. You can write that, read that rather. Yeah, and also you can refer to the CRAFT test for the literature review. So I questioned really by making this comment the whole literature review approach. Okay, so maybe you can take learnings from this in preparing your assessment. Okay. Here again, this study will explore. The study can't do that. The study is inanimate. We can. You, the 4 students or the 3 students in the group. Changing coaching. I recommend that you start by reviewing what the literature says about what coaching is and its definitions. And then the students start the sentence with a citation. You don't do that. You cite in text or the end of the sentence. Okay, just remind yourselves or refresh your memories by going into APA material to read up on it if you need to. Okay. And then just formatting. I give you a template which is formatted. Don't start changing the format. In APA, you don't justify text. You keep them left aligned. Okay. Also, I'm just asking you what this was trying to achieve. So again, identify what I'm saying here in the comments. Awkward phrasing. What is this text segment supposed to say? And I'm talking about the 3-step process of change, the other being the stage theory. Not quite sure what the students wanted to say there. And then I'm also making a comment, very confusing paragraph. I get confused about who identified, developed, which modules. Your citations are confusing. Okay, so just make sure that you pay attention to detail. I just thought that should have been assumptions, sort of a technicality. And then in APA, my general understanding is that if you discuss various things that aren't in some form of order, step 1, step 2, step 3, you can use bullet points. Don't overuse bullet points in your document, just a side comment on that. So you can use bullet points where there's just a list of things that aren't in a particular order. Okay. And then technicalities like having a statement and a sentence in one place. Okay. I couldn't quite get what the students meant by that in that sentence. So when you construct your sentences, read it as if you're an outsider. I know it's quite difficult because we, inverted commas, get married to what we write, and we can't understand what we write, what we think we know what we want to write, but the reader that reads it on the other side could be confused. So read it very carefully and structure it properly. I couldn't find this 2019 reference in the reference list, and I'm just telling the students what I found in a reference list. Okay, so some technicalities. And then I looked at the reference list, and I think they meant to write here 2018. Again, attention to detail. Just better phrasing for the citation, what you want to make there, the point. Yeah, so, the third aspect of affecting coaching according to, and then the students kind of did that. You don't do that. You say something like Gone et al., and then you talk to that, or you can say, let me just type this out to make some sense here. Gone et al., and then you say, for example, that 2020 noted that, or whatever it is that you want to say. That's the proper way of doing it in text. So just what the students did here is they wrote a conclusion about the whole paper. I asked students to write the short piece, the last paragraph or two in the literature review, to recap main points of the literature review and position your research relative to the literature review. I remember what I said during session 2's class, is you may want to say something like the research or the literature shows that there's not much or a lack of, or something like words, proper academic phrasing of research literature that speaks to experiences of a client in terms of their narrative, words to that effect. And this research, in this our research will be focused on filling this gap in a small way. Yeah, and also be careful with phrasing this research paper when you this is a research. This is not a research paper. It's a research proposal, and you need to phrase it accordingly. Yeah, just keep my formatting, okay. I've formatted according to APA to help you. References must be on a separate page. And then I just noted to the students, I checked their references up to and including GAN, and there's several APA errors. And please pay attention to detail. It creates a very professional image if you've done that. If not, it's the opposite. Okay. Give you an idea of the reference list. How many references? They have quite a few references. Remember, we spoke about the number of references, and already they have, 3 pages, I think, 3 and a bit pages. So I mentioned something about 3 pages, and one of you commented about, let's say, about 30 references, which is about right. And then attention to detail. Dahlberg and McCaig, they are actually editors. You need to write the reference list accordingly. Okay, then this is the rubric that you also have in your module outline. So let me just go to the other paper. The other assessment 1 submission with 70% gives you another idea of the kind of question marks and comments I have. So just minimize that. So this is the 70% one. And they did actually write a client's experience of change during a coaching journey. Okay. And then in the keywords, you don't capitalize first letters except if it's like a proper noun. Okay. Table of contents. So also be cognizant of technicalities, like this is the American way. I think that the English, UK English, South African English, it's S. Yeah. And then I'll also make the same comment here that I did in the first paper about the literature review. You must just make sure that you hopefully learn from what I show you here and kind of do a literature review rather than just listing a whole lot of or just talking to a whole lot of literature. You've got to be critical as well in your consideration of the literature. Okay. And I suggest you have a short intro to the literature review just to contextualize it somewhat. I mean, in this case, the students had, I think I mentioned that yesterday, very old sources, and I just referred them back to the CRARP test and my guidance around. You would probably want to have references in that are sort of roughly back up to 2012, 2010 maybe. They are relatively recent. There is a lot in the last 5 or so years as well that you would find if you look. Yeah, so remember I mentioned that if there's not something specific, where you can branch out to some other helping professions, and with due cognizance of the different approach between coaching and counseling that you're well aware of, in terms of the kind of philosophy of the client being the driver of the process, really. You can bring that in. Yeah, in this case also watch out for the tendency that you may have to kind of get hooked onto one author. So I'm making a point here to the students here that they refer to De Haan, which is quite a familiar or well-known writer in this context, a few times, and I'm suggesting they must have more variety and opposing views to just be more on point with the literature review. And then also the other thing is I find students often make assertions in the literature reviews that they bring in their kind of own opinion. They don't review the literature as such. So just an example here, the students wrote, and it is through this exact approach of focusing on a positive that the coach will develop the independence of the coachee. So did they say so, or is this the student, or do the students make this, come to this conclusion? Again, you need to be sure what you want to write. Yeah, again, I mentioned here 19 years old, it's a little bit maybe outdated. 1991, it's a bit outdated. So as I mentioned yesterday, there may be literature which what I call seminal, that kind of sets the base for a discipline, that you perhaps can cite because it's like good red wine. It's aged well, so you can, but you should primarily focus on more recent resources. Yeah, again, 30 years old, 19 years old, adult learning. So I just want to make sure, I don't think I made a point above here. Let's go back there. Okay, oh no. No, I'm confusing myself with the previous paper that I did. That I made a comment on a specific area. So here, there are 6 assumptions that characterize adult learning, and I just want to remind myself of what I wrote here. So I think in the other context I made the point that the bullet list, if it's like just a list, you use bullets rather than numbers. But here you're specifically saying there are 6 assumptions that characterize adult learning. So I think it's better to use than a numbering list. Remember also, I think I said that if it's a step process, for example, step 1, step 2, step 3, and there's a logic around the 4 or 5 things that you want to put in a list, and then it's best to then also do a numbered list. Maybe you can do a bit of reading up on that and just check that out rather than just taking my word for that. How can I make the point to the students? Your opinion, question mark. You must do a literature review. The literature review is not a forum for your opinion. Okay? Yeah, and then something I find quite frequently is that students use perhaps a longish quote, or even shorter, like in this case, as a sentence on its own. That's not acceptable. You must make a point, make your assertion, write something that you're reviewing, and then you support that with a quotation. Don't start or don't have a full sentence as a quotation as a full sentence, and also don't start a paragraph with a quotation. I've made a comment twice there. They got a summary here, and then they make that point there, so I'm saying that point belongs in the summary or words to that effect. And then also apart from that, the point I'm making is that the research question will be answered via the execution of the research methods, data collection, and data analysis, and the write-up. It is not answered through the literature review. Okay, conclusion. Earlier on you said my client, not client, just a bit of technicality. Okay, name the reference list. Okay, so here we will meet again in the class. So if there's anything that you find and I possibly in some instances could have contradicted myself, I could have explained something here that is a little bit different to what I had in the slides and the classes, please do put questions to me, my comments, and then I will see how best I can help you on your way. Okay.